over the world, new schemes are being piloted that are about controlling your movement and capturing your data, sometimes even in exchange for healthcare. Whether it's smart cities or new healthcare edicts, they're coming for your data. You should be worried about your privacy because this is all part of the globalist master plan. Hello there, you 6 million awakening wonders. Thanks for joining me on this voyage towards truth and freedom that we can undertake together, respecting individual freedom, collective freedom, decentralized new economies, the ability to run their own communities and allow other people to live differently, free from ideological judgment. That's the dream, and it ain't going to become real without new alliances being formed right now. Because let me tell you, they're moving against us in a very powerful way. Today's story brings together many important themes. Klaus Schwab's acknowledgement that the race towards technological mastery will determine the world's future. Justin Trudeau's willingness to pilot both smart cities and new healthcare packages that will mean you'll have to hand over a lot of private data in order to gain access to services. And of course, in the UK, smart cities are being trialled in Wolverhampton and Oxford. Who benefits? Is a question we can legitimately ask, because when people say these are measures that are necessary to prevent ecological disaster, what do we see happen when there is an ecological disaster? The Ohio chemical train wreck and chemical spill has led to what? Ordinary people suffering, the environment being damaged, water being polluted, corporations being let off the hook. Is it me, or do they only look for climate change measures and ecological solutions that punish ordinary people rather than high-level business interests? All of this we'll be discussing in today's video. To get us started, the world's biggest expert in basically everything, along with Bill Gates, of course, is Klaus Schwab. I don't mean to pry, but I will.
There are some people who claim we are now in a deglobalizing world, but actually, I would say we have to reglobalize this world.
Yeah, you would say that because you're the head of the WEF, which is about making globalism seem appealing, concealing that the agenda of powerful elite institutions has always been about dominion and profit, and making it look like it's about being nice to people, regardless of what colour they are or what their identity choices are, and making it seem like we care about the climate, while still being able to pursue profit in exactly the same way. The WEF only suggests solutions that are not meaningfully impactful to the intentions of the powerful. What you'll see happening around the world are measures enacted that mess up the lives of ordinary people. We saw it during the pandemic, 5 trillion wealth transfer, ordinary small businesses closing down, and we'll see it, I predict, with these climate change measures. If you really care about climate, it's going to cost money, and it's going to mean that the most powerful interests in the world are going to be impeded.
We have to make sure that we strengthen cooperation.
Oh yeah, no, we've got to cooperate. We've got to cooperate globally.
Where we have to make sure that the rule of law is not trampled with the feet, but where we maintain the necessary framework.
You know the trampling of feet? That's us trying to escape Klaus Schwab's hell. I'm afraid you're only allowed within this 15-minute radius.
Artificial intelligence, but not only artificial intelligence, the metaverse, near space technologies, synthetic biology. Our life in 10 years from now will be completely different.
Your life is going to be very different in 10 years' time, and it isn't going to be you who decides in which ways it's different. Even the image of Klaus Schwab and that gentleman sat on that expansive, apparently neutral stage should strike terror into your heart, because there are new proposals to restrict movements and capture data being piloted across the world that are the activation of the ideas that come from top-down organizations like the World Government Summit that I didn't even know existed till about 20 minutes ago.
And who masters those technologies in some way will be the master of the world.
So ideally what's required is the ability to oppose this globalist agenda, to capture your data and use it to manipulate you. That may come when there's a revolution. For now, we can thank today's sponsor, Incogni. Wherever you seem to turn at the moment, like today's story about Canada capturing data and the instantiation of smart cities, personal data is being stolen. Someone could have paid to get access to your private information and sold it to data brokers. But the good news is you have the right to request data brokers delete what information they have about you and protect your privacy online. This would take normal people like us years to do, but you can use the tool I use, Incogni, who will do it for you automatically without any hassle. This is how it works in 3 steps. 1, you create an account with Incogni. There's a link below. 2, you grant them the right to work on your behalf to remove your data from the broker's databases. And then 3, just enjoy the results for yourself. You'll get notifications from the brokers and email lists that you've been removed from. So you'll actually see what Incogni have done for you. It's that easy. Here's some more good news. The first 100 people that click my link, incogni.com/brand, will receive 20% off with Incogni. Protect your privacy and protect your freedom in the one small way that you can, because globally it's going to get harder and harder. So how will these technologies be implemented and used to gain control? And who do you think will benefit from the technologies being proposed by Justin Trudeau and his Liberal government and being assessed in pilot schemes for smart cities around the world? Is it going to benefit you? Is it for the benefit of the planet? Or are there other interests that are going to benefit? Let's have a look. Some of the many technologies the WEF have advocated for include technology that fuses physical, digital, and biological identity, digital identity or digital ID systems that determine access to services, microchips for children, and automated artificial intelligence systems that censor hate speech and misinformation. How do these ideas that are discussed by the WEF or the WHO or the World Government Summit, all these unelected, undemocratic organisations, end up being implemented in your country? Justin Trudeau, he could be relied on. This, as Justin Trudeau announced that the Canadian federal government is prepared to spend $196.1 billion over the next 10 years to cover healthcare. Well, thank you, Justin. I'm sure there's no strings attached, are there? Justin. However, in order to access any benefits of the system, Canadians will have to give up more of their private medical data. Oh, interesting.
A 2-hour meeting for the Prime Minister to spell out a 10-year plan.
There are billions of dollars that we're putting forward in new money for the provinces. We're just looking forward to working with them and delivering it.
Arguing healthcare needs reform as much as cash.
We need better outcomes. We need better support for our frontline workers.
When you watch this, like there's nurses nodding in the background. Them nurses, if they don't do exactly what Justin Trudeau demands, there won't be nurses half hour after it. What we're framing, as usual, is a piece of information that's going to be hugely beneficial to regulatory bodies, proposed as beneficial to ordinary people. We need to control you, we need to regulate you, we need your data. Now look, I am not a conspiracy theorist. I recognise that in a perfect or even democratic system, access to data could be used to create more efficient systems. That's obviously true. The more data you have, the more you can amend your systems. What I'm saying, though, is that ultimately these organisations, these government organisations, end up partnering with corporations that have profit motives that determine every action they will take.
We need better infrastructure. We need better data.
All you have to do is tell us everything about yourself, and then, well, that's actually it.
And on that point, at least some premiers agree.
We need innovations. We need to change how we deliver healthcare.
It shouldn't be just about money. It needs to be about modernization of a healthcare system that is really stuck in the 1960s.
So all these euphemistic terms, modernisation, improvement, not worrying about expenditure, are, in my view, the advancement of a centralising agenda where more data will be captured and grant more authority to a government that hasn't behaved that well with authority recently. The proposal also includes plans to increase funding to the CHT, Canada Health Transfer, starting with a 5% annual increase over the next 5 years. However, before accessing the increased CHT fund, provinces have to commit to improving how health data is collected, shared, used and reported to Canadians to promote greater transparency on results and to help manage public health emergencies, the government said in documents provided to the press. Transparency for them, not for you, and manage health emergencies. That means they're going to want to tell you what to do, and if you don't do it, control you. Now, even if you're still at the point where you think that this apparently liberal government in in that country and elsewhere, I would include my country in this and the United States, even if you view those governments favourably, and I'm astonished if you do, but even if you do, if there is a transition in government, they're going to have access to all of that. This is beyond party politics. This is beyond left and right. My argument, in fact, is left and right doesn't exist in the same way anymore because both parties are accepting suggestions and decrees from on high, from these unelected, privately funded or publicly funded to a degree in the case of like the WHO. They're now operating as de facto world advisory councils, but in my view, kind of governments. The WHO, for example, has the ability to pass laws. That's what that pandemic treaty is all about. You want to be careful what you yield in situations like this. It argued that the data is required to monitor healthcare outcomes and performance. Canadians should be able to access their own health information and benefit from it being shared between health workers across health settings and across jurisdictions, the government said. Okay, so you can see how that could easily become mobilised, how that could easily be misused. And we're talking about a very valuable biometric data that corporations who will be partnering, I suspect, in these healthcare endeavours will want to access, will want to package up, and will want to use. In our country, the UK, where we still have a publicly funded health service, there was a proposal to start transferring and using our private data. It was stopped by a petition that we promoted somewhat on this channel. But you know that it'll come back again. You know they'll keep trying because ultimately it's just too profitable not to. These kind of things have to be opposed from the get-go because we've told you about what Canada are doing about healthcare. Now look at what's happening with the piloting of smart cities across the world. About 200 cities and towns have joined the Canadian government's pro-climate change and pro-social justice smart city scheme, which was first announced in 2018. They're calling it pro-climate change and they're calling it pro-social justice because they know those are appealing terms, because the environment is important, because social justice is important. What I'm proposing is that these smart cities will penalise ordinary people and won't magically benefit anyone. I'll ask you this. If you care about the environment, why are you not talking to Shell, ExxonMobil, companies that have had record-breaking profit years? Why are you not dealing with the Ohio train wreck in a more efficient manner? Why are you siding with corporations against the public? It's easy to use rhetoric that makes it seem like you care about the environment and social justice issues, then get on with the ordinary business of making money while introducing legal measures that persecute ordinary working people. This is the problem. This is what these schemes lead to, in my view. Cities and towns that join the scheme can qualify for millions of dollars in awards from Infrastructure Canada for implementing digital smart cities. Infrastructure Canada claims the Smart Cities Challenge empowers communities to adopt a smart cities approach to improve the lives of their residents through innovation data and connected technology. But my concern is this grants more power to centralised authority and gives more ability to data companies to capture your information, which will ultimately be used in conjunction with the government to control your movement. You have to anticipate that problem. Again, even if you agree with the current regime, and they are a regime, what happens if the other team wins next time? Then they've got your data. Then they've got this power. Edging closer towards a social credit style system, the UK is using the city of Wolverhampton to pilot a new app that will offer rewards to people who exercise and eat healthy. Participants of the pilot will be given a wrist device and an app that will provide personalised health recommendations like eating vegetables and walking more. You just tell people that now. Eat vegetables and walk more. Right, now take that thing off and throw it away because you don't need it. Get on with your life. You don't need the government intervening with eating vegetables and walking more. You don't need an alliance between data capture and centralised authority so that you can gnaw down on a stick of celery and stroll around in a park unless you're locked down, unless this technology, by the way, could be the very sort of thing that could monitor your movement and your actions. I care about the environment. I care about social justice. I care about individual freedom and collective and communal democracy. Granting the state more ability to control movement and levy taxes against ordinary people is not the way to improve the environment. Look at the congestion charge in London, for example. The same arguments were made there. This will eliminate blah, blah, blah. It's just another way of getting revenue. They will never do anything that meaningfully impacts the ability of powerful institutions, energy companies, the relationships with powerful states, anything that meaningfully impedes the ability to profit on behalf of the environment. We've seen that again and again. This comes as members of the European Parliament, MEPs, have adopted the draft legislation meant to pave the way for implementing an EU digital ID wallet described by the European Parliament as an all-in-one digital identity. The UK could also pilot DNA smart cards. A new scheme is being proposed where elements of a patient's DNA is stored on an electronic record. For some people, they will use the argument that this is beneficial for the climate or social justice issues. For other people, they'll say it's a way of preventing immigration. So whatever you believe in, they will find a way of advancing their agenda. So you have to just disagree with it in principle. I want control of my own data. I want control of my own life, my own community. Don't leverage social justice issues or hot button topics in order to get me to comply with yet more centralized authority and ability for huge corporations to profit. During the pandemic era, the arguments that have been continually leveraged is these decisions are being made for your health, for your benefit, because of the sanctity of human life. Well, we now know that's not how it panned out at all. What's definitely true is that there was a $5 trillion wealth transfer in the direction of big tech, big pharma, big corporations. Meanwhile, small businesses, communities were obliterated. Ordinary people's lives deteriorated. Mental health issues increased. Addiction issues were exacerbated. General health conditions outside of the epidemic were made much worse. So as a generalization, you could say ordinary people suffered while elite establishments and regulatory authorities benefited. In the pandemic's bewildering early days, millions worldwide believed government officials who said they needed confidential data for new tech tools that could help stop coronavirus's spread. In return, governments got a fire hose of individuals' private health details, photographs that captured their facial measurements and their home addresses. Now, from Beijing to Jerusalem to Hyderabad, India and Perth, Australia, the Associated Press has found that authorities used these technologies and data to halt travel for activists and ordinary people, harass marginalized communities, and link people's health information to other surveillance and law enforcement tools. In some cases, data was shared with spy agencies. So there we are. We already have what would legally be known as a precedent. They've already said, this is to help you. We just need your data to help you. Of course we won't share it with spy agencies. Of course we won't harass minorities. Of course we won't prevent people traveling. They did in every single case. They can't help it. That's what centralized authority does. It enforces and imposes its authority. That's what corporations do. They make profits. When you have the entrenched alliance of these two entities, to a degree, in fact, that they are one symbiotic creature at this point, you know what you're going to get. You've been informed, you've seen the template, don't go back to sleep. For more than a year, AP journalists interviewed sources and pored over thousands of documents to trace how technologies marketed to flatten the curve were put to other uses. Just as the balance between privacy and national security shifted after the September 11 terrorist attacks, COVID-19 has given officials justification to embed tracking tools in society that have lasted long after lockdown. So do you see the format? Terrible, terrible events of 9/11. Now we can invade your privacy. We can't have that happen again. Terrible, terrible pandemic. We're going to need your data. Can't have that happen again. Terrible, terrible environmental emergency. What, you mean that train wreck in Ohio? So you're going to persecute the corporation and ensure that the water don't get polluted? Oh, no. Give us your private details and let us lock you in your house, or at least heavily restrict your movements, monitor you and tax you. Come on. It's always the same. They always create regulation that benefits establishment interests because they're the ones that pay for the lobbying, they're the ones that fund the system, they're the ones that are still there as administrations come and go, not really meaningfully changing anything for ordinary people except the kind of rhetoric that your side enjoys or your side finds offensive. We have to transcend beyond that dynamic. It's a duty. Whatever you care about, if you, like me, care about the environment, individual freedom, people's rights to be who they are, people's rights to run their own community, the ability to oppose corrupt centralized globalist authority, the ability to confront prejudice, bigotry, the ability to stop profiteering corporations making more money. We are all on the same side now. There is only one side. Yourself, the rest of us versus centralized authority. And we're not doing enough about it because we're squabbling with one another about issues that are important, but about which we must come to a truce. So whether it's smart cities or the sharing of your private health information, what we are moving towards is a globalist state where your ability to control your own life will be diminished and their ability to regulate you and profit from you will be enhanced. But that's just what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments and chat below. I care about what you believe in. I want to learn from you. Turn on the notification bell and subscribe right now. But more important than any of that, within a 15-minute radius, stay free. The first 100 people that click my link, incogni.com/brand, will receive 20% off their first month with Incogni. That's incogni.com/brand.